are we in danger of losing services in these counties? Do you all think, like, let's just say, which I mean, I would say some rural counties have already lost access in several ways.
Small agencies, yeah, I think they're all in danger. Our company, fortunately, we're spread out across multiple counties. We're all over the state at some point each day, going somewhere, doing something. I think in the grand scheme of things, we're okay.
Welcome to Creepalachia. We have a full studio of more professionals that I have no clue. I have somewhat of a clue what they do because Jonathan Cresong has been here. But we are proud to be joined by Jonathan Tyler, which is Jonathan's son, who is an active EMT paramedic.
Advanced EMT.
And we have Nick Lawrence, official friend of the show, too, his second appearance, who is more of the operations role. Like, what's your exact title, would you say?
Oof. Everything from janitor to janitor.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. We have the janitor of stat. So I got tagged in this random post a couple months ago. Every now and then I get tagged in an EMT post and I have no clue what I'm looking at, but I do know that over the years, some issues have popped up with people having questions of, we don't have enough ambulances. How can we cover these rural areas? What's going to happen in the future? And that's what we're doing today. The EMTs of the round table. Does that sound good? I mean, it sounds
works.
Good.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So let's start off first by doing some backstory. So Nick, let's go with you first. So give me a little backstory of your daily life and what kind of role you play with stat.
So there is no normal day. I may be in the office or I may be out in the field, taking care of oxygen supplies, complaints, going to facilities, making sure they're happy. Or I might be running a truck on an 911 call or dialysis a lot of times. So there's no normal day. It's all different. Every day's different.
Yeah, you had and you worked as an EMT back in the day in Pineville, and then you went to Myrtle Beach, right? Yeah. And you done the same thing down there?
Yeah.
And you did a little bit of acting?
Yeah.
On, what's the show? My daughter loves
that one show. I forgot.
Oh, crap. No, it's Outer Banks. Yeah. So we got a celebrity in our midst.
We do. Yeah. Look at the time.
But all right, Tyler, what about you?
So I'm an advanced EMT. I work 72 hours on the truck. Been working on the truck since I graduated high school. I actually graduated on Sunday at 2:30. Clocked in that night for my first 72 and just been doing it since then. I'm also with Upper Laurel Fire Department. I'm the EMS coordinator for them. So involved more of the operations and actually, just kind of making sure things are moving forward, drawing people in. So dealing with that side of things with the fire department a lot more. But also educator with stat. And I, like Nick, I have a lot of different things that I've bounced around. And anything they don't want to do, they make me do.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. And the Cresongs are a very special family in the hills. You all have a very tight connection. And Tyler's the first that I heard of you, Jonathan. Mm-hmm. And you came in and we had an awesome episode where you shared a bunch of stories. But give people a little run through about you and your background.
Just been an EMT for going on 34 years and been a paramedic for 32 of that and a CCT medic for 15. And just been in various aspects of the job as well with the fire department and with Stat Ambulance and a few other services around. Stafford EMS, Sophia EMS, which doesn't exist anymore, Trap Hill, which doesn't exist anymore. That's a lot of those. So I'm still here. So
yeah.
Still doing the job.
Your episode is one of them where I got so many messages from people, just admiration of knowing you and just so appreciative of your work over the years. So it's really cool to read.
And I say thank you for that. So
hey,
it's always good to hear what people think about you and that it's mostly good. That's even better.
I didn't get one negative comment.
So it was really, really really nice.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all for coming in and doing this. We're going to have it's kind of a difficult conversation, but not really. I mean, it's an important one that we need to address for the future of these rural counties. But I'm curious, Nick, where do we want to start with this? So, basically, I got tagged in a post about a ATV wreck. It was an ATV, correct?
Yeah, ATV accident. Yes.
Yeah, and apparently some people were upset because an ambulance was so far away that was called in. So I guess, Tyler, you were setting it up a little before we started talking. Maybe can we set the scene of what happened there and kind of what the issue was?
Absolutely. Again, as it's important to start. It was on a weekend, so it was on a Sunday. So that kind of put in the reference because, weekends you're going to be lower on your resources anyway. But had an ATV accident and up in the woods, approximately 7-8 miles away from the actual main road. So difficult, ingress, egress area. But had no units available for EMS per the county. And they were sending a unit from outside from Raleigh County, to be specific.
Okay. So, and the reason people were upset because it was so far away and there wasn't any available units close?
Wasn't any directly available close that was, on the system that they could use. The one thing that I guess raised some questions, some concerns in the whole conversation of the thing is there is a fire department that has a unit that they run that the way it's currently established within their policies and procedures, they have to respond within their first due area. So not necessarily something they could have done anything about because they're operating within the policies that they have to. It's the world we live in. Got to follow the rules, so to speak. But people just question as far as, why wasn't that resource utilized or, why wasn't that considered in that situation?
Sure. And how was the outcome? Did everything work out with the...
It went great. So okay. It's one of those situations like I talked about. We're approximately 75 feet over hill. Dad and I both were there with, Upper Laurel Fire Department, and we had a good turnout that day. And so we were able to actually start ALS, advanced treatment, right there on this hillside. Already able to get some medications going because did have a significant head injury. So there was some big concerns that we had as far as being very progressive and aggressive with our treatment so that we could get ahead of these things that we know the body is going to experience the longer that we wait. So, we were able to go ahead and get him packaged, get him, get treatment started. Once we were able to get to the EMS unit, had a really great crew who did come down from Raleigh County. Paramedic actually ended up having one on board. He had just passed his advanced EMT, and they grabbed him and brought him with us. But everybody immediately just worked as a team. He actually came home. He's walking. His neurodeficits. These things that could be possible. Aren't what he's facing, so the family's actually been seeing in the fire department lots of pictures and videos of his progress and stuff. So it's a great outcome. Definitely one of the best outcomes that I myself have witnessed in my career.
Heck yeah. If there's one thing that's good, Appalachians are good at, it's making as much as they can with as little resources
absolutely
as possible.
Absolutely.
So you all do an exceptional job at that. But at the same time, we got to recognize it's a business. Nick, let's kind of lay out the difference between privatized ambulance services and public. Are there both around here, or is there?
Yeah. Okay. So one is essentially just county funded, and one is not. We can be county funded, so that we would have, these ambulances that only respond to 911 calls, and that's it.
Okay. So on the financial standpoint, are there less ambulances than there used to be now, or is it kind of still the same amount? And, as far as stat goes,
about the same, right?
About the same.
About the same.
We're about the same.
We have less day trucks.
But overall,
I think the biggest thing is why we're getting more focus on it now is because, like everything else, every aspect of the world, things are more expensive to operate. So those same 5 trucks that we were running 10, 15 years ago, the cost to run them today is so much more that you have to have some type of subsidy that's helping you out there. Just to kind of tell on what you was at in there, a lot of your counties have started paying agencies for the pagers. So whatever that amount is, and it's helping to offset the cost of running that 911 truck. So that private company that's not running those dialysis calls with that truck, they're receiving that money from the county to give them some money so that they can be there for those 911 calls only.
Gotcha. Okay. So, so same trucks, but the cost is higher to operate the trucks. How's the turnover in the industry? Is it, the same EMTs kind of hang around, or is it hit and miss?
We're anomalies.
Anomalies?
Yeah.
Most time 3 years is probably life expectancy of most EMS workers.
Really? Why is that, you think?
Stress level.
Hours?
I think
Stress level, hours, the pay's awful. And add one little small point. All this has changed. It's got more expensive, but reimbursement has not increased the way it should have.
Right.
Somebody goes to a cardiologist, they can charge whatever, and insurance pays a big bulk of that. Versus us, it don't matter what we charge. The majority of them tell us what they're going to pay us, and then we're left holding, the rest of the bill. And we're talking about we're not an area that Stat operates in specifically, because I won't speak outside of other than what I have knowledge on.
Sure.
But we ain't got a lot of people with whole lots of money. So if I turn to, somebody down the road and I'm sending them what's left of the bill, I have the Medicare, it didn't pay. Well, honey, it only pays this much, so then you're left there and you look like the bad guy, so to speak, because you're coming asking for money for taking care of people. And, it puts people in the position of where we want to be able to, because I don't think even the ambulance companies that are bankrolling big money, I don't think that their only concern is just the money. Because the only way you can stay in this business is you have to care about people a little bit. It's some part of you has to have that drive, because otherwise you couldn't come in and stay involved in this game. There's so many other ways you could take your money, put it somewhere else and run a different company and make all kinds of money and not ever think about it again.
Sure.
So the point is you're left with, they're trying everything impossible to have trucks for 911, but to also to be able to offer any kind of pay that's somewhat competitive, but still not. When we look at healthcare, it's not competitive as where it should be, but it's because there's no the reimbursement hasn't changed. There's not an influx of money coming in anymore, or never changed.
Yeah, the business model isn't an environment that allows the ability to just throw cash at the employees. I mean, you would like to be able to pull it out of somewhere, but there's nowhere to pull it out of. Because I imagine too, there's a lot of people. You pick someone up, you got to take care of them. They don't have insurance. They're not going to pay. Well, where does that go? I mean, through the court system, they're going to pay $10 a month for the rest of their life. So that's kind of
got something to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's all they can do, so that's a problem too. I like to put the perspective of what would life be like without this profession? And without your all's profession, it would be pretty grim.
We would go back to waiting on the funeral home to show up with the hearse.
Yeah, for sure.
I try not to, I guess, get to a lot of people, him saying we're anomalies. And I guess even to this day, I talk about the job sometimes. And it's like, for me, growing up, I literally looked at people like my dad, Chad Cox, Mark Brooks, they're Jeff Green. I looked at these people as like literal heroes, just because, they're showing up on undoubtedly most people's worst day of their lives. And they're expected to not only to take care of somebody, but to handle that situation. And there's both of these can echo the types of situations that you walk in, and it's just absolute pure chaos. And you have to be that voice of reason, that hope, to the small bit of hope that people see that day. And in being in that, seeing that growing up, that was the drive for me to get involved. I wanted to be a servant. I wanted to serve my fellow man. And if without this profession, it is kind of a scary thought when you just think about, especially the calls that we see on a weekly basis. And if you think of, it's not a delayed unit, but there's no unit, there's nobody at all going. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible thought to think of.
Yeah. Jonathan, you've been over 30 years now. So is there certain issues, which we talked a little bit about it on our previous episode, but are there certain issues you've seen increase over the years that are kind of harder to be addressed?
Well, issues. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many different things. I mean, because you can go from one side of things where we're going to take care of people, but the calls have they've offset bad. We do a lot of good work and we help a lot of people, like he said. Very well said. But I think the thing we're getting into now is we have a lot of abuse of the system as well, and that comes from the patient side of things. And you never want anybody to need an ambulance and not call. But sometimes they call for things that tax the system that are just not emergency calls. They don't need an ambulance, and we have no way to filter those out. And so then you're gonna take this patient to the hospital, and then the insurance is not going to pay it because it wasn't an emergency in the first place.
Right.
And so, and we have.
What's an example of like one of those calls?
Well, we have what we call frequent flyers, and they'll call for the craziest things. I have been called to check somebody's biscuits in their oven.
I mean, it's pretty important. Come on. Well, like saying my biscuits are burning.
Yeah. She said, but no, I mean, there's just some things you can't have.
That's the most holler thing I've ever heard.
I mean, but I'm serious. It's there. So,
well, in January there was a call where a female patient needed her thermostat turned up.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
and we had a crew just last week. Was they're getting? They came and helped this lady go to the bathroom, and then they came back and got her potato salad.
Oh,
so she called on two different.
She real old?
No, not really.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was so awesome to watch that arc of reactions just now because he went from all to
well.
So and then we get the abuse on the other side. It's just like I had a lady the other day, and she was like just blasting me, and here I am to help her, and she's like, she got mad at me because her driveway was uneven.
Okay. Man, I hate that.
So I mean,
it's like asphalt.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, but here I am, I'm like, well, I don't have anything to do with that. And
right.
So, but
it's not.
She said, well, can't you all do something about that? I'm like, that's state road. I don't know.
Somebody. Somebody.
Not me. But we do get those calls too. Like I said, they call us. We're sent on police calls when they don't have police to like check on people.
Right.
They send us on sometimes if they have a fire department that because a lot of these are volunteer fire departments. That's why you should join. And they have people who work, and so they don't have units, so they'll send an ambulance where they would send a fire truck. And same as send us out on a tow truck.
You're a tow truck?
Well,
I mean, that's...
I don't know if I'm a tow truck.
Do you have a winch?
I've been towed quite a bit.
Have you ever wrecked an ambulance?
Oh, man. He had to go there, didn't he?
That's one question I didn't ask you.
I have been in 2 accidents. I've been in several accidents, actually.
This is getting worse.
Well, you're on the road a lot. Okay,
too significant.
Well, I did have one really bad situation when I first started that just about stopped me completely. And that was back, I think in 95. And where the Walmart is now in MacArthur, that used to be just a 4-lane. And, people got hit there all the time. And we was coming back from the hospital, and we was on the inside lane. I was a passenger. My medic was driving. And so we was coming back, and it was edge of, evening time, starting to get dark. And there used to be a video store over on the right-hand side. And this kid ran across the 4-lane at like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. And, we hit something. We didn't know what we hit. Didn't have no clue. And then, I looked and I told my partner, I said, oh, that's somebody.
Oh.
And, and so this kid in dark jogging pants and a dark hoodie was running across, and all his little friends that was over there, they ran off, and we had a tow truck that was in front of us in the other lane, and he stopped, and everybody around us stopped because they said that tow truck driver said he almost hit him too, but we never even seen him. And of course, we hit him, and we immediately jumped out and started working on him. But I mean, I knew you're saying about 50 miles an hour, and you got roughly 140 pound kid, and
Man.
so one of them ambulances, one of the big box ambulance, my partner, he worked, I think, 2 weeks after that, and then got out of the business altogether.
Man, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's just horrible. So, like I said, I don't even like to go that way because it just brings back the memories, and so
yeah,
it's just, so you getting those things. But me driving, yeah, I flipped one once, but
did you? Goodness gracious!
Yeah, put it on the side, but but we're on the road so much, you got to think about this. And no, I wasn't driving reckless, but it was a breaking issue. But anyway, that's what everybody says, right?
Breaking issue.
And so I've been hit twice in Beckley in the intersection there, and we got hit once, and it was really funny because I guess they thought it was an ambulance. People showed up on scene and got in the car that hit us.
Mm-hmm.
And, because they all went to the hospital, even though they wasn't there. Yeah.
My neck, my check stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll never forget that because I think that's one of the first ones that they'd ever, the lawyers actually fought.
Mm-hmm.
And an Army Corps of Engineers guy came back. He was passing through and he had timed the stoplights and everything and showed that there was no way that was us. I mean, we wasn't even running lights going through the intersection. We were stopped, and then we turned green, we went through, and they ran a yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they won that case. So
Well, this stuff, and thank you for sharing. I could only imagine what that's like. And then you got to get out and you work on the person. I mean, but stuff like that's important to talk about. Like the trauma, literally, you all see almost every day is incomparable to anyone else's. I mean, like nurses and things like that obviously see stuff too, but I mean, you all are usually the first to be there, and that's really the most detrimental. So that's a lot of pressure, and all this stuff piles in and creates, on top of the financial side, just creates problems. And I think it's important to talk about. So Nick, how are there any certain logistics we need to hear of? Like, okay, how much does it cost to operate an ambulance authority for a year in rural West Virginia?
I'll break it down into a week, figuratively speaking. So on average, you're paid about $400 per call, and that's the average. That's taking every call that some companies have ran, and kind of averaged everything out. You're about $400 is what you're actually paid after everything's said and done. So you take a company that runs 50 calls a week, for example, you got 20 grand coming in. That sounds great. It just takes 2 to 3 months usually for Medicare, Medicaid, other insurance companies to pay out, which no big deal. You'll get the money. It just takes time. But out of that 20 grand, you got payroll. So payroll to run 50 calls a week, we'll say that's 3 crews Monday through Friday, and then 1 on Saturday and Sunday. Payroll 12,000, and that's running kind of lean. So you got 8 grand left. Out of that 8 grand, you got to pay your fuel. We'll just say $1,500, and that's lenient here in Southern West Virginia. So you're at 13.5. We'll just say 500 in supplies and oxygen. Probably also pretty low. And then that's 13.5, $14,000. You got 6 grand left, and that's supposed to cover your loans on any ambulances you have, your mortgage payments, your taxes, and any other kind of fees you got out. So your insurance is a really big thing. It's a huge cost on figuratively speaking, on a company that has those 3 trucks a day, small crew, small company, running the 50 a week. We'll say you're looking at roughly about $1,500 a week just for your automotive, general liability, professional liability, all your insurances. So that little bit of money you got left over to pay your mortgages and all that, we'll say another $1,000 a week. After everything's said and done in this, whenever I wrote it all down on paper, you're looking at about 17.5 is what your expenses are for 1 week, and you're bringing in 20. And that's if no trucks break down, nobody wrecked, no patients got dropped or anything crazy, not like physically dropped, but like you lose a dialysis patient because they went to another service or whatever. Which I guess dropping a patient's possible too. But so there's lots of other little things that come into play if you got a holiday week. So a couple weeks ago, we had a Monday where there was no doctor's appointments. So the company would run 50 calls a week. Well, they just shut off Monday. So now they've only got their 911s and maybe dialysis, as long as that didn't reschedule. So now they're going to run maybe 40 calls for the week. So now you're looking at, I don't know, 16 grand.
And that's if everything pays on time.
That's as long as the insurance pays and everybody has insurance.
Right. That's perfect scenario.
That's magical fairy tale talk.
That's a perfect week. Now go back, what, about a month when we ran the double overdose?
Yeah.
A month ago. Tyler and I and a couple other crews ran a double overdose. Patients came back, they were unresponsive, blah, blah, blah. On the financial side of it, I'm happy the patients are fine. Don't get me wrong. They signed refusals because they were A-OK. They were alert and oriented, knew everything. They were totally fine. Didn't want to go to the hospital. Perfect, great outcome. So we sent them bills because you get a $300 refusal bill. But what a lot of people don't look at is on that call alone, we blew through a ton of supplies. So like an IO needle, for example, you're looking at about $300 roughly for just
what is this?
Just one little needle.
So it's intraosseous. So that's what to the bone.
$300. Okay, so it's real long.
No, it's they're not like
but we just drill it in the bone.
Yeah.
How many units does it hold? Like, why is it $300?
So he's talking. Well, yeah, because it can be.
Okay.
Yeah, he's literally just taught just the needle itself.
Right.
So if we can't get a vein and we need to give medication, fluids, we'll go to the intraosseous route. So we can either do those. We do them in the extremities. So that's on your TV shows. You'll hear it called the bone gun. Yeah. That's what Chicago Fire calls it, the bone gun.
Nice. I mean, that's pretty epic. It's like it's made out of that metal out of Marvel Comics. What is that?
Antimanium.
Antimanium. Yeah, that must be made.
Now, back when I started, we did those by hand.
Oh,
like crank it down like you're opening a wine bottle.
Yeah. So T-bar and the needle would be on it, and you just.
Wow. Now, typically, the patient's not responsive at this point, so I probably didn't complain a whole lot.
Well, sure,
They can be, but
well, I was going to say, the last couple I've done, they've been totally alert.
How much is a water bottle? $13? You got Mountaineer Field?
If we had to pay for it,
yeah, I guarantee you.
Okay. It's like, okay, so see, a lot of variables no call's the same.
No, that call alone, I think there was about $800 roughly that we blew through supplies. We'll never see the refusal money coming in just because we'll send it to collections and they'll do that whole thing. They'll have to write it off in about a year or something.
When it gets wrote off, do you all get a portion of it? Or like,
no, it's just,
you just don't get anything?
No.
Okay.
So we were there, how long do you think we were there? A couple of hours anyways.
Yeah. All in all,
so you have 2 ambulances sitting outside, turned on, running fuel. So we'll just say we're burning fuel. We didn't even want to count the gas. That was kind of dumb. So we've got, there was an EMT and a driver, right? On the other truck.
Yeah.
Okay. So EMT and a driver, we'll just say on the low end, they're making $30. Well, on the high end, we'll just say $30 with both of them combined, $30 an hour.
Gotcha.
So we'll just say $30 an hour for both trucks. So $60 total. So there's $120 right there just in payroll cost. And that's as long as none of the people there had insurance. So we have to
he ain't even going to include his payroll cost in that number.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
When he shows up in the Tahoe,
So all in all, there's all those variables come into play that we just ain't going to see the money for.
We got to say y'all work together. Technically, Nick, you're their boss? Or how's the hierarchy go?
Yeah, he is. He ain't going to say it, but he is. But he's not one of those kind of bosses.
No.
He's not.
Right.
I'm not just saying it because he's sitting here. He's not. He would consider himself one of us. He would probably, in a good way of words, he's just in a position to actually be able to help make some decisions to do things now.
Yeah. Well, the people that hang around, it seems like there's a really tight brother sisterhood type thing. Like it seems like everyone really collaborates well, and if they don't, they quit. That's basically what happens.
Yeah, we really do. In different companies, it doesn't matter. We all work together good.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody does. Back to what he said, though, I want to bring this out. While he had these 2 ambulances there, because while y'all were on that, I had the patient that tried to set himself on fire.
Yeah.
And
what?
Yeah. And so
in Southern West Virginia, this stuff happens.
Yeah. So he so anyway, and intentionally. But so here I was not probably a mile from them. And but they had to send them from another area, so they had to wait for them to get to the 2 that were overdosed, and then they got the refusals. But now here you got 3 ambulances on these calls, and I'd say we won't get money out of any of the 3, but we had 3 ambulances tied up, and that's a good day. You just happen to be there, and so then you got. That's 3 ambulances out of service. So that's 3 ambulances that are tied up. So when this patient has a stroke or this patient has a heart attack, we're tied up here on these calls that we ain't even gonna get paid for.
Yeah. So y'all ate like $1,200 or something in that little.
I transported, but we won't see nothing out of that.
Yeah.
But
okay. This is good to know, man. Because we like to say, I know everything. I know the answer to this. These guys are crooked. They ain't doing nothing, and hearing stuff like this just puts it all into perspective. I don't know how you're doing as good as you are, to be honest. It's like
ambulance services that barely keep your head above water.
As long as you can break even on Friday, you're doing good.
So would you say like a 5% or less profit margin?
If you're lucky
ish,
if
that's a good year,
great year. Oh yeah, on a year basis. Oh god, yeah.
Wow, that's good to know.
I mean, there's some weeks though where the money's great, and then there's some weeks where you've had a lot of facilities. So like with doctor's appointments in Dallas, a lot of people talk about how, oh, that's great money. It's not. But it's guaranteed money. Right. So we know if we're taking your grandmother to, her foot doctor because she's bedridden or whatever, her insurance is going to pay. There's no question about it. Whatever the insurance is paying. Whereas the 911s, it's a 50-50 shot. Now, granted, the 911s need us way more than the dialysis and doctor. Well, dialysis is really important. Yeah. But the immediate need is the 911s. Yeah. But are you going to get paid?
That's it. I mean, listen, that's important. Because eventually, if you don't get paid enough, you're going to shut down.
And you're not going to be there for 911 or nothing. Yeah, for sure.
Our providers have went down in numbers, and our call load has went up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're doing more calls with less people.
Yep.
And so then what you're doing is you're overloading these people. So I mean, it's just like sometimes. If you get to stop for a second, it's a gift. And so those are hard hours. I mean, and we got day truckers, that's what we call them, but I always, anytime I see somebody working day truck, I always tell them, I said, thank you.
Yeah.
I always tell them, I say, thank you. Cause you doing what you're doing helps me do what I do.
What is that specifically?
So I'll answer that one because this bothers me.
Sure.
But I mean, it's just part of whatever it is. So this guy has probably some of the most experience on the East Coast, not in Southern West Virginia, but on the East Coast. I would put him and Tyler both. Actually, I'd put almost any provider in Southern West Virginia up against anybody on the East Coast. You got extended transport times and you see the craziest things. So, but back to my point, to see that he's out here running, taking your grandmother to the foot doctor, or taking Uncle Joe to dialysis Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then there's a call that comes out where, it's a motorcycle accident with a traumatic right leg amputation. Well, he's tied up at the dialysis facility waiting on a signature. So, we'll have to send this other guy who's pretty new, but he was busy whenever the pickup time was for this dialysis appointment. So we're going to have to send the dialysis day truck guy for the traumatic amputation if he's available. I mean, there's just a lot of weird stuff. Like, we need people bad. There's a huge provider shortage. We've got the trucks. We just need drivers and providers. Mm-hmm. The provider shortage is bad, though, and that's what a lot of companies want to scream is, we would run more if we had good providers, but I'm going to get some flack over this one. We have a provider shortage, but it's not as bad as people make it. We have a shortage of good leadership.
Here. Man, he said that too.
Sure, yeah.
Now, that's not going to float well, but it is.
But it's the truth. It's the truth.
It's true.
I mean,
and that's the thing. And until we can talk about the truth and actually have open discussion, like if for all the conversations that you see on Facebook about saving the EMS system, but when it all gets down to it, time and again, we see that any true discussion is always shut down because nobody wants to take that ownership and say that this is what I should be doing. There is more to be doing. And it goes back to that caring about people thing. It's worth doing right and giving the effort for it. And you have to have those discussions. So, I mean, I understand you think you're going to get flack, but if you get flack for saying what's honest, then you're doing something right. That's the way I've typically found it.
I mean, in a room of 3 people and you're all in agreement, odds are there's a lot of people listening. It's like, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
But let's break that down. So how do we fix that? Is it like the lack of structure or, the lack of power over certain roles, or what are some ways that you can create a system that supports each other rather than, you try to, seems like people are pointing the finger elsewhere.
So I think a great start, I want to go back to my South Carolina days. So there, you didn't think about a management role. You didn't think about any sort of leadership, anything, unless you understood, number one, your team stands beside you, not behind you. So you lead with your team. You don't necessarily lead your team. You lead with your team, which means you're taking in, their suggestions, what they want to do. You're considering all. You're not just out on a whim, just saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. So that is a huge thing. And then the other second thing was you didn't even think about it unless you had the experience in the field. If you have no experience in the field, who are you to try to lead a team of people in the field? That's insane.
Yeah, well, there's several things there, because if someone is leading you that hasn't done your job, you're instantly going to think like, well, we can't really relate. And then there's going to be decisions made that doesn't necessarily, like in my world, for instance, the marketing world, there'd be account executive roles that have never made a video that would tell a client, it'll be done by this time, not knowing what all goes into making that video. And if they did, they know it would take 3 times as long.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, I think, is lost in translation. Not that they necessarily mean to, they just don't know.
Yeah. So like the way we're set up right now, so the people that take care of our finances, so those 2 girls, they know what they're doing. They know the money aspect of it. They're solid. Did they need an EMS experience? No, nobody cares. So you just do your finances, whatever.
Sure.
Our shop guy, he don't need EMS experience. He just needs experience working on trucks. But as far as field leadership, so the other guy, I don't know if he'd want to be named or not, but the other guy that I work closely with, he's been in the field. I think y'all actually work together, right? Okay, so I think we're good there. I just think in other areas, as far as our company goes, could we improve? Absolutely. If you ever get to the point where you think you can improve, close your doors because you're bad off.
Yeah.
But I think we're pretty solid. Do we fail? Absolutely. Well, I failed this morning. I had an employee yesterday try to get a hold of me. I was in a meeting in Charleston, forgot to call her back. Well, this morning I have a truck sitting because there's no driver on the truck. She was trying to get a hold of me just to see, hey, do I need to work tomorrow or not? Forgot to call her. I failed her. I apologized to her this morning. I said, I'm sorry. If you want to come in, that's fine. If you don't,
yeah,
I get it. We're not perfect.
Yeah, well, that's good you admit that. I mean, it's important to note too, like we're talking in general. Like in general, leadership would help things leaps and bounds for all the companies. And it sounds like that's the way you do things. You all you don't even really see him as a boss, even though technically he may be.
Yeah.
So that's when I think things work the best.
Well, my grandfather said, and he was a coal miner for 64 years. And he said there is no bad employees. There's only bad supervisors.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Smart man.
And he was a supervisor, so I think that's their work ethic. Now that is in play too. I'll put that there. I have seen work ethic just go so far, and in EMS it's really tough. We got a lot of people who EMS you can tell is their first job because in EMS you got to be self-motivated. You got to be able to do things on your own without. I don't need him to tell me what to do. I know what I need to do. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not any lack of respect or anything. It's just like I know what's expected of me, and I know I need to do it, so I do it. And but we have a lot of people now that if you don't, I honestly, some of them think if you didn't tell them to breathe, they wouldn't make it through the day, and that's just so bad. I stood with my boss one day, and we was looking at all these new employees out there, and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "You know what's sad?" And I said, "As I think me and you could work circles around all of them." And he said, "I don't doubt that one bit," because we had a younger guy one time that was complaining about the shifts that he wanted to work and how tough it was. And that was in our group. And so I messaged him real quick. I said, "Hey, if you can't handle it, then don't do it, but don't start messing with my job, because
Sure.
I'm fine." Like I told you last time, I started off this business. I worked 15 years. I worked 5 24s and an 8. And that's what I worked every week. He can tell you. So
yeah.
Was it smart? No, it was really dumb. But but at the time, I went through a divorce, and so I only cared if I was home when the kids were there. So
Right.
So I just worked, and but I've not worked less than 3 my entire career, and but I'm fine with that. I know my limit. That's it. 72 is my limit, though. just letting you know.
Just making sure you're aware.
So you're not picking up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing too. So self-managing is really needed. You need to be able to make decisions on your own sometimes. And as a leader, they need to allow you
all the time.
Yeah.
You got to realize it's just like what he was talking about. We're on the backside of a mountain. And there's no doctor there. There's no nurse there. There's no x-ray. There's no lab. There's none of that stuff going on. We just got a kid who's fighting for his life, and we're there fighting with him, helping him to stay alive. And I can't got time to sit here and say, what should I do? Yeah, I mean, if that's the kind of person you are, this just ain't your job. I ain't saying that there ain't uses for you, but it's not your job.
Oh yeah.
Because if I stutter, if I don't do something, then he's just going to die.
Yeah,
just that simple. We have to do something.
Yep.
And so I mean, we did have a lot of help up there that day, and we had a lot of non-firefighter members, and that's pretty much where it was at. And it was just like, we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this, we can't do that, and so. When we got there, it's just more or less they said, "Well, you can't do that." I said, "Listen, let's do what we can, and let's talk about what we're going to do. We're going to do this." And so, so you can't. This is not one of those jobs where you have to be told everything you do, and you can pick those employees out real fast because they don't last long.
Well, if I'm in that wreck, I want you there.
Yeah,
but I want someone who's confident, like, I know exactly what to do. Y'all get out of my way.
That's what you need, And
for sure. That saves lives. Let's talk about the schedule a little bit, though. So it's, as far as I know, I mean, the schedule, you tell me the schedule and it sounds shocking. As far as I know, it's been that way for a long time. Is there any way to perfect that, or is that basically it is what it is?
You have lots of different scheduling options. I mean, agencies all across. I mean, there's lots of different ones. Some do 24 on, 24 off. Some do 48 on, 96 off. So there's a lot of different schedules. Now, I know that 72. Whenever I say that I'm working 72 hours in a row, a lot of people. Like, what? It's the worst idea ever. But I have a 4-day weekend every single week. I got Thursday through Sunday every week. So for a lot of people, that schedule being together, that's actually, a lot of people would say it's a perk of their job. A lot of people I know, specifically like ALS providers over the year, have came to STAT because our schedule is still preferred to a lot of those others. Because if you're doing day on, day off, day on, day off, that means every day you're driving to and from work, and you never have a chance to decompress. There's never any, it's just constantly all you're thinking about is you're always in work mode, and there's no time to even separate that.
That makes sense. Okay, you putting it like that, because I mean, like we hear 72. I mean, your eyes aren't awake for 72 hours,
No.
correct? I mean,
No.
you get some nap time, and
I have nap time, and then the other side of that as well. Specifically because we have that, I know that STAT, we've taken the position there that we don't allow our drivers to do those block days. So I, as a provider, I might be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 72 hours. However, every 24 hours, I'm receiving a new fresh driver. So, if it's that third day and if I'm too tired and I know I shouldn't be driving, I still have a new driver who came on at midnight who is going to be in the position to be able to, operate it. But additionally, that's where it comes of having good work ethic and stuff, and having people that you can trust, that they know what they're doing. So that if I'm over here in the passenger seat taking a nap, I know that you're not just doing whatever. But yeah, no, I'm not 72 hours. And if ever I get to a point in my shift, I know specifically STAT. I know if I'm ever to the point where if I've just been nonstop completely, like we have not seen the station, it's been, 30 hours or something like that. If I pick the phone up and I call it, whether I call Nick or I call the other supervisor guy, as we're calling him.
supervisor guy, shout out.
We should have cleared his name so we can at least say his name. The other supervisor guy, which I like him too, except for his sports teams. He can't pick a football team. But
does he like the Cowboys?
No, Steelers.
Oh, okay.
That's for Hono.
Oh, y'all like the Cowboys?
No.
Oh,
okay.
Bro.
All right, I'm sorry.
Why would you do us that way, dude?
I'm not an NFL fan. I just know Cowboys and Steelers have this thing.
I don't even know a single Cowboys fan.
Right. I know one. It's in Mullins.
I know one.
Yeah.
No.
And they always get
You've
made
converted.
fun of.
You've converted
Not
her.
me.
You've converted her.
Yeah,
Who does she watch on Sundays?
that's true.
Well, I'm Mountaineers Backyard Brawl.
Hey, me
Oh,
too.
that was awesome,
That was it,
man.
right? That was it.
Oh, yeah, son. I
Gathered
was
at the
there.
fire department. We
It's
did
so
it at the
good.
fire department. See, fire departments, you need to join the fire department.
Really? Man, if I had the time, I need free time so I can join the fire
I'm saying it to
department.
everybody, though.
Oh, yeah, everybody
Yeah,
out there.
Complete statement.
Yeah.
Let's go. I spread the word.
I got
You
you.
do.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
We
my
appreciate you.
that's my goal. All right. So Nick, let's kind of talk about some things that we can do to make things. I mean, where do you personally see the gaps? Or do you see gaps? Like, I know you mentioned, like, actually we're doing a pretty good job, and I think so too. Like, from what I'm hearing, I don't know how you all are doing as well as you do, but like, I do want to kind of break down like the day trucking. Is that dialysis? Is that the people that would
So
take
your
people
day
out?
truck is just the cool little word for a 12-hour shift, basically. They usually come in 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, leave 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening. After their 12 hours is done, they're done. They typically don't run a 911 call unless their 911 trucks are going somewhere and there's a 911 that comes out, then they'll run it.
Mm-hmm. And those pay less. Why? Because that's just what the insurance company says. Here's the line
It's just
item.
a non-emergent transport.
So when it's an emergency, that's when the bills start calculating. Who sets these numbers?
So it's a Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement rate. So it's all the government says, this is it. This is what you got. So we could send them a bill for $10,000 if we want, like the double overdose. We could send them a bill for, if we would have transported, we could send in a bill for $5,000 if we felt like it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to pay about $430, $450 at the most.
So you can, like, literally, there's no cap. Like, an ambulance company can set what they want for each service. Is
Pretty
that
much? Yeah, you're just not going to get it.
Gotcha?
That's all there is
Charge
to it.
whatever you want.
Yeah,
They decide how much they're going to pay you. And then they decide of that much that they said that they would pay you, how much of that they are going to pay you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then they can always come back and take it too.
a really awesome example of that. So there's another ambulance service I'm taking care of, and back in July, so our insurance was getting ready to switch over to a new carrier. So we had to pay a deposit plus the monthly fee. So after everything was said and done, it was like, I think $12,000, what we had to come up with. We had money in the account, which was great. On our payday, so to speak, which is when the insurance is hit, which is usually Wednesday, we had about $17,000 in holding. So that's all the bills that they've said, okay, yeah, we're going to pay. The money's here. We'll send it to you. Well, that Wednesday hit. I had to pay my payroll. I think that week it was about $9,000 because it was a slow week. We had payroll, fuel, all the regular stuff. I think total I was out maybe $15,000 or $16,000 the most. But I was waiting on that money to hit to pay the insurance portion of it. Well, the money hit and it was like $3,200 or $3,300, even though they owed the $17,000.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all we got, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Sure.
You have to be happy with what they did give.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But now on the flip
Messed
side of that, then at some point after that, eventually they released a lot more money. So that week, we got in $20,000 or $30,000. I don't remember what it was, but it was a substantial amount compared to the little measly $3,000.
Yeah. So are there specific government subsidies available for, like, you give them a line item of like, we didn't get paid X amount of dollars this year? Do they provide, like, grant funding or any type of things like that to kind of cover that? Or is
that's
it
an indictment, ain't it? I'm pretty sure that's.
I think the best way to describe it, the way the government and the lawmakers look at EMS is there's like, what is that?
right?
And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Because as far as they know that, they're going to call 911 and an ambulance is going to show up and they're going to go to the hospital. They're just not knowledgeable on how everything works.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, because, which, obviously fire department's different, it's volunteer, but there are taxes gathered by the community to provide funding for these different organizations.
So we could have a levy. Some counties do have levies, some others don't. Some counties make room for money. There's this opioid settlement that a lot of counties have got now, and we're working with the counties to, hopefully they'll say, okay, well, we're going to allot this amount of money so we can have this truck stationed here and this truck stationed here. So then if all that works out, then those trucks that they're paying for every year, they're just going to sit there on station until that phone rings at 911 and the truck's dispatched.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, I'm sure it gets tricky of like, well, it's a private company. Then people get mad and they're saying, why are we giving money to a private company? But it's really a necessity though. So then you get into the private versus, county ran, and that's where I get lost. And I have no clue.
That's where a lot of like your county officials have to really get involved. And a lot of it goes off, they just don't understand how it works. So you have the option of either your county is going to have to sit down and learn it and establish that system, get it, whether it's a levy, a fee, and actually get involved, or some of them take the route of going to private companies who are already, established, already doing it, in these areas. And they're going to say, well, we're going to give you, and I'm literally just pulling a random number out right now, we're going to give you $50,000 a year for this, for each pager that you dedicate to the service.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say that I'm giving you 5 pagers for the year, and they're going to pay me that $250,000, those pagers are just for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one way that a county, commission can be involved in, securing EMS coverage, but not necessarily having to put the burden of operation of an EMS service on the county. Because just as, even in that, that subsidy is helping that private company out. But there's just so much that goes into that operation of an ambulance, even if it's a county authority, even if you're not doing non-emergent calls, just the whole other side of it. There's so much in it that for a lot of counties, it may not be the best option, just because there's all these working parts that you may get deeper and deeper than you would have been of just paying a subsidy to a private company by trying to run your own thing. And then you may be left down the road of, well, if it fails, I've ran everybody away. So there's a lot of things that I believe that commissioners and, county officials are faced with in trying to find solutions, but a lot of them don't even fully understand the way the system works.
No, yeah, that makes sense. And there's a way to be open about the financials. Like, obviously, you come out with an agreement like, okay, well, we're going to audit the books every year and we're just work together and figure out. There's a thing that happened in McDowell. You talking about ambulance authority that kind of came up that I don't even know enough to really even bring it up. But basically, it was a private ambulance versus having the ambulance authority, which I think was county ran.
Right.
So I think they probably ran into a lot of these types of conversations. I'm not sure where it stands right now, but people even hearing it's not as simple as like, okay, well, I'm going to raise the price on this Big Mac 50 cents and people pay for the Big Mac. Like, no, that's not how it works. It's
right. And then
a lot different.
You're not even taking into consideration, we've not even talked about it, but just like for my certification, I have to recert all my cards. That costs money. So there's training that goes on. There's new equipment comes out, new protocols come out, new things we got to learn to do, and you got to buy that equipment. I mean, and so they start off, they make it optional. But when it says optional, that's going to be mandatory on the next release. So you got to come up with that money. So you're not being.
So you personally have to pay for that?
No, well,
or stat?
So it works both ways. Most of the time, stat will help me out with my education. Sometimes, in a timely manner. Sometimes you got to go different. But still, that cost has got to come out. You got to pay some. You got to either pay somebody to teach, or you got to pay to have somebody to come in.
Yep, makes sense. All right, so we've solved it, y'all. I think. Everyone's like, all right, we're good to go now. No, but it just sounds extremely complicated. Is there a way that I don't know, is there a board that exists of like, okay, you take this region, I'll take this region, we'll all come together and then let's talk about ideas. Is there anything like that exists? Or
so one thing, and I will say, because it's important, to recognize those that are, make pushes. In West Virginia, over the past, I'll say 5-6 years, a lot. First and foremost, you have the EMSAC, the EMS Coalition, who goes to the legislation, but then also goes, between all these different things that works on these areas and presents these cases. But we've been very fortunate to, take on a great medical director in this, for OEMS, Dr. Martin, and Jody Ratliff, the EMS director. Now, both of these individuals, really familiar of being in the field of doing the job, and they have a lot of understanding of the issues that we face. So there's a lot of things. Recently, I had a little bit of a thing that we were dealing with, and, Jody contacted somebody else to directly help with the issue we had going on. So, there's those plays, but recently some counties have started forming, EMS associations, and they're bringing in the fire departments who are running EMS calls, as well as EMS agencies. They're sitting down talking about their specific problems and looking at solutions. You have a lot of counties that already have the fire association, so the volunteer fire departments sit down and discuss these problems and find solutions, and ultimately just brings your system closer together because everybody understands what everybody's doing. You understand, if we're sitting down, I understand what Nick's facing, I understand what, you're facing. So here's my issues. I don't have a problem with that. Maybe I can help you out here. And, Nick, you actually have this good thing going. Maybe you can help apply it. Once you get everybody sitting down and talking, then you can actually start to understand everybody's view and everybody's situation that they're personally having to deal with. Then you can start talking about what actually fixes it. There is no blanket solution. I'll start by saying that there is no one thing that's going to fix the EMS system in this state, this county. Everybody is going to have a unique, because what we need in Wyoming County is not what Raleigh County needs. It's not the exact thing. It's not. So that's why, I think specifically Boone County was the one I most recently seen. Their ambulance authority sat down, they formed, or, their ambulance individuals, they had a EMS, they sat down with county commission. Everybody was talking about the problems. And I think that is really what it takes, is getting everybody involved to sit down. Because then if you have, just say, for example, X county EMS has sat down and we know this is what we're looking at, then we can contact EMSAC. We can contact, other people and say, well, this is the issue that we're facing. Is other counties seeing this? How are they approaching it? So then we start looking at finding those small things that may apply to us. But the biggest thing is having discussion and not just trying to think that I automatically know what your problem is.
Right.
Because I don't.
I go for the troll online option. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna post and ghost, son.
I think even the post and ghosts are necessary too, because a lot of times people are just so afraid of conversation.
Sure.
And eventually the post and ghost gets to the point where you can't ignore it. Somebody eventually has to start talking, because I could block you, but there's 100 other people that are waiting to post and ghost behind you. And, so I think even the post and ghost people, I appreciate those too, because they raise conversation.
I like the way you think. I find it entertaining sometimes. I'm like, thank you for taking the time to tell me off. That was nice. Yeah. I appreciate that. Are we in danger of losing services in these counties? Do you all think, let's just say, I would say some rural counties have already lost access in several ways.
Agencies, I think they're all in danger. Our company, fortunately, we're spread out across multiple counties. We're all over the state at some point each day, going somewhere, doing something. I think in the grand scheme of things, we're okay, just because of our high call volumes we have every single day. So if it is a holiday and those offices are closed, that's fine. We still have, 40 other trucks on the road doing whatever. Small agencies, I think if they've not already, they need to buckle up.
Is there a capitalism thing of is the goal to eat up these smaller companies, or is everyone trying to work?
Actually,
is there competition?
So I actually just reached out to the owner of West Virginia Lifeline Ambulance. It's a newer service in Raleigh County, Raleigh or Fayette?
Fayette County.
Yeah,
I think they're based out of Mount Hope, I think.
Super great guy. And I was like, hey man, listen, if you need anything, holler. We've got some good negotiated rates on some supplies. He probably doesn't, because it's a new service. I said, so, we can work some things out to where instead of you paying $10 for a 12-pack of gauze, I'll pay my 20 cents and then you just reimburse me. Things like that we can do. Just medications, not so much. But, so I try to help where I can.
Yeah.
And I don't see competition per se. As long as the patients are going where they need to go, when they need to go, I don't really care.
I would say where we're at, and since I've been a stat about 15 years now, and the one thing that I've seen is that we have seen these smaller companies go out of business. And you was talking about the McDowell County Ambulance Authority, and they went out of business.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, they're gone.
Okay.
They're gone. So now you just got Jane Karen Stat there.
Issues within the county have been directly involved with operations.
But the thing about where we work is I would just have to say our boss, sometimes against a lot of people's better judgment, he can't stand to see an area without coverage. And so that might even spread us a little thin, but he would go and help in those areas. And that's why we're in so many different counties. I really feel that. Even at great scrutiny to the stat name, if you will, just trying to help. But you try to help. And sometimes if you can't give people what they want, and you're just giving them what you can and what's available. But if you can't give them everything they want, they just want to tear you apart for the help you are giving them. Instead of accepting the help and saying, hey, thank you for what you are trying to do, they say, well, you ain't doing this, you ain't doing that, you ain't doing this. You say, well, I never said I could. I just said I was going to try to help.
Mm-hmm.
And so we run into that. And I say that's one thing that I really like about the company I work for, because they have put themselves even in bad situations to try to help out other areas and other services And so I will have to say that.
That's good to know. I feel like you're the MacGyver of paramedics. Like, give you like a rubber band and an ink pen, you'll probably fix what's wrong. But that's good to know, because, you know, obviously I'm looking at it of two ways. I think going back to your initial statement of you have to care about the patient to even do this work, I think that's the foundation of the whole thing.
Yes.
And then
it has to be.
We get lost in the numbers, lost in the sauce kind of, but you got to think about that stuff.
I've held paychecks in my pocket
Really?
because they wouldn't cash.
Oh, wow.
Still go out and take care of everybody I could.
Sure. Yeah, man. That's amazing.
So it wasn't good. And so, and like I said, the culture we're in now, if it ain't dead on the money, buddy.
The direct deposit hits 30 minutes later and they're ready to ride. I mean, I know that my dad and myself both, we worked for a good bit of time where we was having to hold the paychecks, but we wasn't not going to be there.
Yeah.
Because we're small. So I'll put it this way. I know that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in Oceana, that is my shift. Now, that might be Oceana 30 and it might be stats shift, but I know that's Tyler Cresong's shift because I'm scheduled to work it. And I know that if I'm not there, the truck will probably get shut down, or it'll be shut down some portion till they find somebody to come in. It is my responsibility to cover that shift.
Right.
So I learned that during the season. But he's speaking of the company that we was with, our fire department, we ran ambulances. And during that time, I learned that these people depend on me, and I got in this job for a specific reason. Do I need to make money? Absolutely. But there has to be some more importance of other things. So, like, if I plan on taking a trip, I'm calling, I'm finding coverage, I'm helping, because I know that I know that we're small to the point that there's not just a surplus of, so to speak, people sitting on the bench ready to hop up and work my shift. And I know that.
Right. Oh, no, we all think it's like ER, just people rushing in. TV show, you mean rush?
Yeah, just keep coming in.
Yeah.
When
Here they come.
When I take a day off, the truck is downgraded.
Right. Yeah. Well, this is great. So I guess really, I think we covered a lot. I do want to end on like each one of you, and we'll start with Tyler first, and then y'all can think about your answer. But why do you do this specifically?
Why me? Me first. Okay, no, that's fine. Actually, y'all be thinking. Okay, so hurry, work your brains. Why? So I said earlier. One of the first memories I can think of was going to the fire department with my Head Start. And our fire department was in this old little building over the hill, one single bay door, concrete floors. And my dad and Anthony Morgan, both just dressing up and then showing us some stuff. And then, advancing that to the point that as I was going through high school, I would come home in the evenings, put on a pair of black pants and a fire department t-shirt, and I would spend my evenings riding the ambulance third party with Dad. And the biggest reason that I can say why I do it is because I found such pleasure in being a servant to other people. And that is really, like, people may think that that's a cheesy answer to give, but that is the only reason I keep doing it. Because I run lots of calls to frequent flyers, the stuff that absolutely just beats the mentals out of you. You deal with the people that work opposites of you that don't really want to be there. They don't put the effort in. But you run the one call when you have somebody, and you know that it may not even be that you do anything crazy. It may just be that you just sit on the bench, you come in, you help, you load somebody, and you might have been the first person that treated them like a human for years. And when you see that somebody in you, and you start to realize that, hey, I'm a human, I go through stuff too, and sometimes I just want somebody to accept me and notice me as a human.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get to the point where you realize that daily I'm allowed to be in the position where I get to take care of people, I get the opportunity to impact lives. So for me, that it's more of a privilege and an opportunity. I make enough money to pay the bills. I take care of the 3 little girls and my wife, and that's all that really matters to me on the money side of it. But to be able to impact and touch and treat people, to be a servant to my fellow man, that's second to none.
I love it, man. And yeah, 3 kids, you take them to Disney, that's a Kia Soul. I mean, like, it's
going to Disney.
It's ain't no going to Disney. That's whoa. You go down there, a dinner's like $180, and you're like, what am I doing? It's crazy. All right, that's a great answer. You even got your dad choked up there. Look at that.
Turn.
Look at that. Let's go with Nick first.
Oh,
we'll end with Father Cresong.
I don't even know how to follow up with that. That was beautiful. I don't know. I mean, I do it for the community. I love these people. Just like Tyler said, a lot of times these people, there's a certain type of people who get treated differently. More along the lines of the overdose calls that we have ran, and we will continue to run from this point on. I feel like a lot of people think that, oh, well, they done this to themselves, so, whatever. But at the end of the day, that is somebody's mom, that's somebody's sister, that's their dad, that's their uncle, whatever. And maybe, you don't know what the situation is. You don't know, did they just lose their job at the logging site earlier that day? So this was the only way to get their mind off of it. You don't know what they're going through. So if you can shine that light, be that light, and help somebody, even if it's just once a month or once a year, you made a difference and it's worth it. So that's kind of, I show up every day in hopes to help somebody somewhere with something. And if I do that, I can sleep easy at night.
Yep. And you got to balance the checkbook and then figure all that stuff out. Yeah. Oh, and I got to have you back in to talk about EMT bros. We haven't even talked about that. But Nick started a little TikTok phenomenon in Myrtle Beach. We got to get that guy. What's that guy's name that you done?
Trent Van Boskirk.
We got to get him up here. But yeah. Well, great answer. What about you?
Well, first, I'd like to tell them you're welcome, since I wrote y'all's answers. That you
We were reading them on the way in the door.
Yeah, we studied.
No, I just, to wake up, for that pager to go off and still feel that urgency and still just be thankful that I can go help somebody, that I can make a difference in their life, whether it be good or whether it be bad, just to know that, I answered the call. And that's just it. It's just knowing that somebody's in need and being there. That's just a blessing to me. The paycheck, yeah, it's great to have, to be able to get paid to do what I do. But it's a mental toll. Yeah, it stays on you. Most of these patients stay with you your whole life. But I know one day I'll make that call myself. And, I just pray that somebody's on the other end of that line that's got the same mindset that, that I have. And it's just to do what I can, and no matter how great or how small, no matter how little bit, and to fight for somebody that I don't know, or maybe I do, but that's somebody's mom, that's somebody's dad, that's somebody's brother, that's somebody's sister, and that's somebody's kid. And to just be able to be there in that moment, and more or less be that, I might sound a little cliche-ish, but to be there in that moment and be able to be some little bit of a help and a little bit of a hand for God to use to comfort in any way.
Yeah.
It's a blessing, that more than it's a job. It's a blessing just to be able to see somebody's heart break, and you feel that, and to be able to just be there and them not be alone. That's just a great moment, that you're in that need and you're not alone. I kept telling that kid on the side of the hill, I said, buddy, we're right here. And he kept asking for prayer. And so to be able to give, mend the bones, the blood, all that stuff, that's cool. But then to be able to give him some comfort, to say a prayer, to try to encourage him and give him hope. That's a gift. It's not a job.
Yeah.
Mending the soul is,
I love it.
it's powerful.
I love what I do.
Well,
Second to none.
Blessed to do it.
It's a gift to have you all on the roads. I'm sure it gets hard, and it's so inspiring to hear you all and the reasonings behind it. Not a lot of people get to hear that. They just know you show up and get to thank you later, hopefully, which we heard about before.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah,
it's few and far, but But like I said, it's anything worth fighting for.
I love it. All right, well, let's plug what we can. Do we say, all right, fire departments, let's go. We need people in the fire departments.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to plug that for just a second. If I don't, they'll beat me up anyway, but I would anyway. And mainly just for this, it's not just the fact that it's such a needed resource, but like all of these fire departments in these communities, like time and again, there's things they do to step up and meet needs. And it's a great way for you to get out and help and to build a second family, to be able to have, others that you can call on and experience it with. Over the weekend, we got together and watched a WVU Pitt game and got some brisket and stuff. And it's just been able to have that family. It's really helped me a lot over the years and stuff. But definitely get out, find out your local fire department, figure out their meeting nights. I'm sure they need help. And if going in the fighting the fire ain't the thing for you, there's so many other options. There's fire departments that offer dive teams, EMS rapid response, drone teams, ATV rescue teams, rope rescue teams. I mean, there is so much that's out there that, you can maybe find the niche for you. Or even if you don't want to do that, if you're really great at writing grants, if you're really great at coming up with fundraisers, and you want to go out and help your fire department and be that person, because everybody needs, we might be good at running calls, but that don't mean that we're good at running a fundraiser or writing grants. So if that is your specialty and you want to be able to help your community, reach out, because they'll take the help. There's all kinds of ways, and it's a great resource that we have. I know a lot of people, it's quick to, I was specifically, I'll tell you, the Zen, popping the Zens, running the red lights. Every time I put a Zen in now, that's all I can think of, the Zen poppers, running the red lights.
You got to put the upper decker in. Okay.
But yeah, the volunteer fire departments, we're with Upper Lawn Fire. He's with Oceana. We operate really well together. He's on my roster at the fire department as a drone operator for my drone program.
Oh, nice.
So, that's the thing. He's.
I didn't know he's on the fire department, Nick. Mm-hmm. Man of many talents. He's also the Welch underpass. We already talked about that, though. Yeah, it's okay to talk about. That's good to know. All right,
we've cleared it. It's okay. We've cleared it with corporate.
Yeah. All right, y'all. This is great. Reverend, I do have an important question. So I know we're not Catholic, but let's just have a confessional here. Will God be okay with me giving my 11-year-old the pass to say the S word with me at the top of our lungs at the end of the Pitt game? Because it happened, and it was probably the most memorable time. I mean, I will remember it the rest of my life, but I'm just making sure I'm still good. Do I need to what do I need to do?
I'll ask.
Okay, you'll ask. To be continued.
You'll hear from me.
Good deal. Well, go Ears. I'm telling y'all, that backyard brawl.
It was great.
That's once in a lifetime.
Good brawl.
And did you realize, so I didn't realize this till after, so 13-9 was when we lost, when we was going to the championship. This backyard brawl was on 9-13. What do you think about that? We flipped the script, son. We're on our way back. Coach Rod, but thank you all for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Everyone,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. Appreciate what y'all do. We're going to have to do this again. But everyone else out there, before you leave, be sure to like this video, subscribe to Creepalachia if you haven't. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, take a minute and leave a review. That'll really help the show be found. And we are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and we are releasing, I think they should be released for pre-order by now, hoodies for the winter. Keep you warm, Creepalachia.shop. And above all else, always remember, long live Appalachia.